our summer schedule and fast.
Right.
Yeah, I see that. Yes. Well, we have an awesome panel. I'm sure it'll fill in a little more. I guess we're on real estate realtor time. It is 11:30. I thank you for coming. Let me. Thank you all for coming. Happy May 22nd. Wow, it's the last day of school in Cobb County. Anybody else last day of school in any other counties? We know?
I got 4 in school.
Yeah. 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 Somebody tell me something good. What do we have good? Kenzie, tell me something good.
I got a few more deals from this office.
Yay!
In June, so
Yay!
thanks for the support. So I appreciate it.
Awesome.
I know Scott and Kim have some in their pipelines as well, so it's going really well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. What else? What else is good?
It's lunch.
Lunch is great. What else is good?
Son's last day of first grade today.
There you go. That's awesome.
Just saying, 11 more years.
Enjoy it because it goes so quickly. It goes so quickly. My daughter's heading up to DC and she's been waiting for her contract to come through from this company, and her boss called her on Monday and said, so Joe in one of the other branches just lost an analyst and he needs you like tomorrow.
Oh my God.
So we're like, good. Hey, guess what? Send us a contract. So she starts June 3rd instead of June 22nd.
Oh, nice.
I get a pay raise. She's on the payroll. Awesome. Awesome. What else? Nothing else good? Really? No? Huh? No? Okay. Nothing else good. We're going to move on then. What do we got? Please turn off your phones. $50 if it goes off to KW Cares. And Drew, come on down.
Let me turn off my phone first.
Okay, turn off your phone. Thank you for delicious lunch.
You're very welcome. For those of y'all that have never met me or have used me before, my name is Drew Illis. I'm the owner of House Call Home Inspections. And we have been in this office for about, I guess, 3 years or so. I've been in Atlanta for 5. You guys here at the Rawls Group and Keller Williams have been a very, very good account of mine. I appreciate all the business I get from y'all. I had my best year ever last year. I had my best month last month ever. So business is doing very well because of you all. So thank you very much for that. Couple of things. You have a brochure in front of you. Keep these handy for you new. Any new agents in here? Anybody? No? Okay. Here we go. New agents. Okay. Keep this handy. Welcome, by the way. And these have our rates right here by square footage. Very simple, very straightforward. Our rates have not changed since 2015. Okay, so we're trying to stay competitive. Okay. Also, read a little bit of information about where we're from. We did a little typo in there about I did not graduate from Alabama, I swear. But for inspection-wise, we still crawl on the roofs. We still do room to room around the entire home. We walk our buyers around when we're done. That's a very nice additive for your buyers, especially first-time home buyers that have lots of questions. So we're very good with that. I'm very pro-business. We want you guys to sell that house. We want your sellers to sell it. We want your buyers to buy it. We want you guys, everybody's doing business. That's what we're about. We don't nickel and dime houses. We're you know, like I said, pro-business. As far as testing, we do all the standard tests. Okay? Radon, lead, asbestos, all those tests. We do them all. I will say this, radon, 1 in 3 houses I test for radon come up with an average over what the EPA says is allowable. Okay? 1 in 3. So it's a very big number. It's not something like it's 2%. So get your buyers to do the radon inspections, whether it's me or anybody else. Get them to do those radon inspections. Sooner or later, somebody's going to get sued. Sooner or later, someone's going to get sued, and we want to avoid that. So let's get them to do the radon test. For $199 on the investment they're making, it's very, very inexpensive. Okay. So another little tidbit. We are now, in about 30 days, we will start doing video pipe inspection. Okay? We handle from the ground up, you might as well go ground down. So we're going to go ahead and start that in about a month. So it's already in my brochure. As soon as I get certified to do that this month, I think it is, I've got to do a 5-day training course. we'll have that available for you too. So we can do both above ground and underground.
That's cool.
How much does
So,
that cost?
It's going to be $299, and that's pretty competitive. It may be a little less if I can get more folks to start doing it. Then I'll bring it down, but to start off, it'll be right there. Again, it's another. If you see trees in the front yard,
Yeah.
I'd recommend doing it. Okay, that's an easy thing to tick off. Okay. Also, for any of you new agents, please come to a couple of inspections to learn some stuff about what we do and how we do it, and what to look for. You can start to understand what we look for, and you can see, ooh, that's a problem, or that's a problem. Make sure we check that, or whatever.
Really, just a couple?
Just a couple.
Just a couple? I used to go to all of them.
Well, we'd be surprised how many people don't show up. But I prefer you all to show up. You'll definitely learn something from both myself and one of our inspectors. I do have a team of inspectors. I've got 4 now. I just hired 2 more. So we're growing very nicely. These guys will be ready to go in about 30 days. So we'll be ready for that. We're about a 2-day turnaround to get you out and get your inspection done right now. So we're still pretty flexible in getting times done. For any of you guys that want to do a short 3-day due diligence, you're working a multi-offer situations, just let me know beforehand, and I'll make sure I can find a slot for you to make it happen. Okay? If you can't call my office, when you call my office and they say, well, he's already booked for that time, call me directly. My cell number's in here. Okay, call me directly. I'll make something happen for you. I always work out something to tell you, always. Okay. Last but not least, I back up my product. Okay, I will stand behind whatever we do in our inspection. I will stand behind it 110%, without question, whether it's my issue or not. I'm going to go relook at it for them. If there's something we may have missed, I'm going to take care of it. I can promise you that. My reputation's on it. Your reputation's on it. I'm going to make sure it's taken care of. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? No, pretty straightforward. Yes.
If you order the inspection, you get the recipe.
Yes. I do say if you like my food, you love our inspections. Okay, we do a great job.
What time were you up cooking today?
What's that?
What time were you up cooking today?
Actually, I went out to my barbecue pit this morning to grill chicken this morning, and my son had left all 3 of my burners open.
Oh.
So I had to go to Costco this morning to get gas.
Oh.
But I do cook all my own food, yes. That's one thing I like to do. Shows a little extra effort, and that's what we do in our inspections also. Yes, sir.
In the inspection report, is there a, I know with some inspectors they'll have like a software where they can go in and select which item they want on the repair list. Do you guys have that software?
Yes, we do. Absolutely. And that's why I brought this little handy tool here with me today real quick, and then I'll be out of y'all's hair. This little thing here is our new software. We just picked this up 30 days ago. And what this does is allows us to do our inspections as we do the inspection. We're doing the report. So we're clicking and we're taking pictures and doing it all right then and there. So when I'm done with your inspection and I'm walking around your buyer, I'm going to show them, not only am I going to show them what's going on in the house, I'm going to show them what's on their summary report, okay, what we think is important. It's all geared towards blue, which is a crack in the paint, something like that, it's very minor, to orange, maybe we've got a toilet that might be loose, we want to get that taken care of, or something red, maybe we've got a poly pipe inside the house, we've got a Federal Pacific panel, or we've got Atlas Chalet roofing, something that's definitely needs to be addressed, that's going to be in red, so it's going to grade it. Okay? Also, there's a section in there for tools that you all can go and say, all right, I want to add this on, how much is that going to be? $500, I'm going to put that on there, put this on there for $500, this on there for $1,000, whatever, and you can actually produce a little report that you can add to your addendums that you guys are going to be sending over to the sellers. Okay? So it's a very nice program, it's very professional, it kind of gets us up above the rest of the folks out there. This software, when you do your first inspection with us, you'll be very, very impressed. I'm super excited about it. Like I said, when I'm done, I walk away and I hit send. You guys get the report immediately. So it's fantastic. They can pay for this all online. They can sign their agreements all online. It's all electronic signature, and it's always legal for them to sign and put their initials on there. So we checked into that also. So it's very smooth software. It's very professional looking. It's really a step up. So I hope you all enjoy seeing the software. Any other
Anybody
questions?
else?
Nope.
All righty. Thank you.
y'all very much.
Thank you for
Appreciate it.
that. Charlie.
Hello everyone, I'm Charlie Collar, I'm a closing attorney. Materialman's liens is what we're going to talk about today. So in general, what a materialman's lien is, or a mechanic's lien. If someone does work on a house, a plumber, electrician, a contractor, and they don't get paid by the homeowner, the recourse is to file a mechanic's lien or a materialman's lien. And what that does, they don't have to do anything. They don't have to go to court. All they have to do is file it. They don't have to go get a judgment. They file it. And what that does, it protects them for 13 months, so a year and a month. So after that, it expires unless they go to court and show and prove that they weren't paid and back up the number that they're claiming. And if they do that, then that lien turns into something that has a lifespan of 7 years. But if they don't do that, it expires after 13 months. But what happens is we have to treat it like a lien for those 13 months, even though they didn't go to court and get a judgment. So what happened, what I'm in the middle of now, here's the scary story part. That's what the material lien is. So we've got a closing on Friday, and it's a contractor, it's an investor. He builds nice chunks of land, builds duplexes, and he's got a general contractor. He's got 3 or 4 projects going at our time. He decided to fire his general contractor a few days before he was about to sell a couple of units. And I don't have any idea about what really happened, but I do know this lien got filed for $50,000. So we have to treat that like a real lien, even though, again, all this person did was just go to the courthouse and file this piece of paper, which may or may not be legit. It probably is, but who knows about the amount. But we have to see that face amount, and we have a couple of choices, well, not many choices, but we got a couple of things as the attorney. If nothing happens, we got paid, because we have to get that thing released, even though, again, it was just a piece of paper that somebody filed. So that's a pathway that people don't want to go, because there's obviously some back and forth about the amount, really. So what you can do is you can file for a bond. And what this person did, so it was a $50,000 lien, again, just popped up a couple of days before closing. So what the seller did, what this investor did, you can file a bond release with the courthouse, and you actually have to pony up the cash and park it in an escrow account that the court approves of. So if they say it's $50,000, okay, well, you have to put the $50,000 somewhere else. You don't necessarily have to pay that person, but that allows us as the closing attorney to move past that and not necessarily pay that person that amount. It'll get hashed out later, and the buyer for that property doesn't have to worry about that lien, on their title going forward. The little hiccup there is if it's not your primary residence, so if it's your seller and they got some work done and that comes up, they can park the face amount of that someplace. If it's an investor like this person, they don't live there, they actually have to park twice as much. So this one on Friday, again, popped up on Wednesday, $65,000 material liens lien. So they had to park $130,000 over here. Obviously, when you're dealing with, it's not always that large, but when you're dealing with investors, it can be. So that was the only way we're able to close, is for them to pony up that cash. So the moral of the story is, if you've got investors, get past the closing before you fire your general contractor. Unless you can avoid it, because it's obviously been a big deal that we're able to work through on the title side, but that doesn't fix the problem on the money side for the investor. So material liens, they're a real thing, and they can cost properties.
Does the court hold the $100,000?
That's a good question. Depending on the amount, sometimes they do have approved attorneys' IOLTA accounts, like what we use. All the money comes through ours, so they do have relationships sometimes. Ultimately, the court signs off and says, okay, we will approve for this bond. This lien's been bonded, and the money is where we're okay with the money being there, and the money has been received. So it all goes through the approval of the court to sign that, but they don't necessarily always are the ones that hold the money itself. So
Anybody else have a question for Charlie? All right. Don't fire the contractor. All right, Supreme.
Good morning. Good morning.
Very quiet.
It is. Good morning, everybody.
There you go.
Okay.
My name's Kenzie Flood.
I'm Scott Meldrum.
I'm Kim Neely.
So does anyone in here feel like they work 7 days a week? Show of hand. So do we, actually. And our phones literally are 7 days a week. We know that you're out there and you have folks in your car. Give us a call, whether it's Saturday, Sunday, after hours. My phone is, and I got it turned off. It's my 11th finger. I mean, I literally answer the phone 7 days a week. So let us know how we can help, please.
If you're working, we're working.
And I want to let you know, tomorrow we're running a class on investment properties at 12 o'clock here in this room. We'll be going over down payment, credit scores, rehab loans, using future rental income to qualify, just kind of the whole big picture of investment property. So if you're curious, come on through. The more the better. So
Yeah, we'll go over everything you want to know about investment property.
and we're here for anything you need. So, please reach
Thanks,
out.
guys.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you.
guys. Kathy Woods, what is your Burger's Corner topic today? Who got in trouble and you get to talk to us about it?
I can't give you their name.
No,
but
no,
they
no,
get
no name.
fined
No,
by
no,
Greg.
no, this is a no-name policy.
Yeah, there's no name policy.
No.
They did get fined by Greg. They listed a house and the seller was dead. So the person that signed was a scam artist. And the only way they found out was, and they've been vacant a long time, was that another Keller Williams agent listed it for the daughter who'd gone through probate, for the mother that passed away. And the Keller Williams agent said, "What the heck are you doing listing this house?" And so she was very upset. So she apologized, gave them all the documents, anybody looked at the house, everything she had. There was an investigation by Greg with me that took forever. Because what they're trying to do is see if we're responsible for not making agents do what they're supposed to do. And then they find Linda Craw, may find me, may find the office, may find the agent. So we were just killing ourselves to get them all the information they needed. Thank goodness our agent got the smallest fine I've ever seen. Then after that last week,
Which was?
No, though. She
What?
was
What's the
scammed.
smallest fine you've ever seen?
$200, it's actually $100 and $100 administrative fee. And then she made that fee because she called me every day and asked for everything you could possibly think of and stuff that was just ridiculous. Like, where's our manual on listing houses?
Okay, Kathy, wait a minute. Cynthia just asked a question. Go ahead, ask.
Well, I feel like if she was being scammed, why is that her response? I mean, I don't know.
I don't know, you want to
know?
call Greg and ask them?
You wonder the same thing?
I mean, we batted this around. I mean, and I went through that with the investigator. But what they do is they do the investigation. They don't make a determination. They give it to a panel. They give it to the board, and they make the decision. I'm not going to argue with it.
Was it a family member or you say scam artist?
No, it was
No,
not.
this person knew it was, it's a long story, I don't want to take up the time here, but this person knew it was vacant. They had seen this agent in a neighborhood and listed, called her up and said, "Look, you've got a great reputation. I don't even have to meet with you, number one.
I don't have to meet with you.
Ding ding. That's a
You can go see the house, I'm out of state." She went and looked at the house and she said, "Look, I prefer to meet with you." I said, "Okay." She's 10 minutes from the house. They said, "Oh, we can't make it. The door's open.
Ooh, that's scary.
And we don't want to sign." Well, that's not always unusual in vacant property. So that's pretty much what happened. Charlie
didn't
and I-
sell it
this
though,
is
right?
for you.
How would they
Charlie
get
and I
paid?
had a long talk about how they could get away with it.
So it didn't sell.
It did not sell because it was listed by the rightful daughter who was executor of the estate. At the not
They got
shortly after we
flagged by
listed it, so
FMLS.
they saw it on FMLS.
Okay.
Okay? Then last week, Linda Craw called me and said, "Your agent has got to take this listing down ASAP." It's an LLC that already, one of them had listed the same property with First Atlanta. Then they listed with us, and one of them claimed, get this, with LLCs, now that's why I'm sending this to you, said that their name was the person that's authorized to sign's name was forged. So, and there's a lawsuit going on, so we immediately removed it. Then I got someone calling, claiming they were the member of the LLC whose name was forged and want a copy of the listing. So I'd be glad to give it to you. I want you to give me all your papers from the LLC. I want you to give me your identification. Make sure you're the person you say you are before I release the document to you. I got nothing.
So Kathy, then how do we protect our agents? What do they do to make sure the person that is calling to list a house is the person that is on the warranty deed?
Well, number one, get ID. I'm sorry, people may think you're crazy now. You're just going to have to tell them in society the way all the scams are going, especially vacant houses. And I have a questionnaire here that this is in the draft stage. I talked to Charlie about it. I've given it to our lenders. I mean, this is a closing attorney's last stop, right?
Yeah. I think probably behind all this is probably did your job. You're not the FBI, you're not the GBI.
Right.
I mean, you can't authenticate documents, but if someone has these types of documents, they got an ID, you don't know if it's forged or not, but you do have to do your due diligence and ask those things, like the ID. If it comes to the board, my guess, like that's a reasonable thing to ask for in any situation. So that's probably the standard for whether or not you're getting in trouble, is if you did what a reasonable professional would do.
And that's pretty much what her questions were. And I kept explaining to her, how would we know, how should we know? There was a mistake that the agent made. It was originally signed the papers, the name on the title, which was the mother, the daughter was executor, and then they asked to put it in the name of an LLC, which she never ever should have done, and that's why she got fined. So I let them sign as an LLC. So then, when we found out it was a scam, how did we identify him? We never saw him.
Yeah.
They would have never gotten paid. The scammer wouldn't have.
We talked about a way, but I'm not going to tell you how.
Okay.
We came up with a possibility, but I'm not going to go
You know, it's probably not, but you know, if they do 10 of them, they might get paid once, you know. So
I know we talked about a possible mail away, POA, something
Right.
like that, and then they got to have it notarized. Notary may not have been for real. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. This is what our agent, bless her heart, she says, I don't think like a criminal. No, it's the truth. But new agents, I just had one. Is Kiki still in here?
She just went through it.
Okay, Kiki just asked me, because I was handing this out. She's look, I'm about to list a property. It was bought in the name of a girlfriend-boyfriend. They split, girlfriend remarried, is living in the house with husband. She passes away. So,
be careful you put on title.
so she passes away. And she said, what do I do?
He's got two.
And I think, and I don't know, don't you still need to go to probate court for
Yeah,
the
he's
person
got-
on title?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, most folks own the joint tenancy with right of survivorship, so depending on how they set it up when they first bought it, and usually, you know, married folks or partners would do that. Maybe in that situation they didn't, but the odds are that when they bought it, even as boyfriend, girlfriend, anybody can be on as joint tenants. You don't have to be married, you can be anybody. So if that's the way they were on title, as soon as she passed away, the other person
It's all of it.
owns the property.
But
Yeah.
you said husband now has tenancy.
Yeah, and
Right,
they're
so
trying,
then you have your
and
big tenant,
Kiki
you got a
said
big
they're trying to
tenant.
evict him. They're trying to get him evicted.
90 days.
The other thing is, I learned this because it was an investor who her own house was in an estate. And I didn't know she wasn't authorized to sign till we're getting close to closing. He wants to do all the work. I mean, we worked it out, but do you want to do all the work and it never closes too? So I assured Greg that we would take more action than we're doing. And I don't want you to get in trouble either, because they were really tough on us. Very, very tough. And Linda, Paul, and I were talking on the phone back and forth, because guess what? She's the one that gets fined, because she's the broker of record, and she doesn't like it. The office can get fined, and the agent can get fined. The office and Linda Crawl, the broker of record, did not get fined. So I guess they like all my answers. Thinking about this much paperwork of stuff. Any questions?
Rachel, do you have a question?
I do. I don't know if it's a you question or a Charlie question. When it comes to title and stuff, what trumps, a will or title?
Well, the will's not going to be, unless it's a really extenuating circumstance, which I can't think of it. I mean, the will doesn't no matter what's in there, it doesn't actually convey the title. It says what the deceased person wants to have happen, but it does name the executor of the will, and ultimately it's up to the executor to execute what's in the will. And if they don't, you know, the person's name on title is still the person's name on title. A will doesn't actually ever affect a conveyance itself. So whoever's on title, the last deed, that's what everybody's looking at.
So if this person that passed, the girlfriend that's now married, passed away, and her husband's living in the house, and he has a will and says he gets her portion of the house,
well, if they own it joint tenants with right of survivorship, then the guy living
she
there.
didn't own it. She didn't own it anymore.
Then
I don't know. You're telling me. I'm asking you.
if they own it as tenants in common, meaning that both of us own it, doesn't, if someone dies, then the person that's still alive still has ownership, and the person that dies, their estate still has an ownership. So if they own it as tenants in common, and the person died, and she had a will naming her husband that lives there as the executor, then that guy's going to get ownership, but he owns it with the other person.
I know, that's lots of time.
So if you're
That's way
roommates,
more
tenants in common, and if you're married, survivorship.
But the final thing to do here is call the solicitor. Don't guess, don't assume. I mean, I know the possibilities, but I'm not an attorney, so. Just make sure you do it. And if you have any questions, you can call me. Or call Charlie.
Oh, call Charlie. There you go. Okay, our Y4C2Ts, third of the way through, and when we get to the bottom, we're going to start doing some contests to see who knows it. Customers always come first. Yes?
Yeah.
Anybody have any horror stories about not putting the customers first? I kind of hear them. Anybody want to give an example of a customer not coming first? Hopefully not.
Let's do the other way. When you did put them first.
Go ahead. Well, hopefully everybody does.
That's just happy.
Right.
When you represent the seller and the buyer's a customer, your seller comes first.
Yep. Because your due diligence is to, your fiduciary is to your client. Yeah.
Why did that say client?
Say what? Oh, that very good point. Brittany just said, why doesn't that say clients always come first? We'll send that to them. Yeah. Okay.
In some states, you can't.
Oh, true. That's true. In some, all states are different. So some are customers, some are clients. In Florida, it's customers. So, yeah. I've heard recently a story about an agent who was sympathetic. He represents seller. Sympathetic to something that was happening to the buyer. We had to remind him, your fiduciary is to your seller. You can sympathize. It is definitely a win-win or no deal. But your fiduciary responsibility is to your client. Okay. Alrighty. Brookhaven summertime. Dress like you deserve the commission. So, Kayla and I had a lot of fun thinking of how we could put this together. However, we did it we were very tame about it. We were having fun looking at pictures. I'm just saying. So, the preferred dress code for agents in our office includes dress slacks, collared shirts, be it a polo or a normal shirt, ties for men if you want. You don't have to do a tie. Or a suit, like JD looks dashing. Women, business, casual, shirt, dresses, suits, pants, suits. What is not on this list for men or women in the summer? Shorts. If you walk by my office in shorts, I'm going to ask you what happened to the rest of your pants. Okay? So shorts. Look at it this way, guys. We know we want to be comfortable, yes. However, you have a client that you're meeting in the conference room and somebody walks by and kind of use shorts a little bit too loosely, and maybe they're a little too short, or maybe they're frayed, or maybe they have holes in them. Doesn't set a good example for the office. No shorts. Aaron and I went back and forth on that one. No shorts. Okay. The following will be prohibited: shorts, jeans that are torn or stained, mini skirts, workout attire. Sorry, y'all, go change at the gym. Hip huggers, bare midriffs, backless or halter tops, tennis shoes or flip flops. Okay.
Tennis shoes. Don't take that down yet.
Okay.
Take a picture too. Send it to me.
I'm sending it to Kay, and she'll be so pleased.
Yeah. Send it to Kay. Send it to Kay. So again, we get it. It's hot. Sundresses, skirts, blouses, no spaghetti straps. If you have a spaghetti strap something on, please put a cover up on. This is a business. Okay. Honestly, the pictures we had were much funnier, but they were so off color we figured we couldn't show them. Upcoming classes at Keller Williams Peachtree Road, Magic Mornings every morning, 8:45 to 11. Ignite continues 6 to 9 Tuesdays and Thursdays, and 10 to 1 Saturdays. Our students are so pleased with the instructors, so thank you all instructors that have taught so far. Thursday, tomorrow, 12 to 1, the ins and outs of investment property with Supreme Lending. Friday, green sheets and dot loop. Monday, the office is not staffed. Happy Memorial Day. Have a great and safe weekend. Tuesday, 12:30 to 2, profit share with our very own Jennifer Barnes. Wood. So I'm hoping everybody in this room will be in that room. Tell me why it's so important for you to truly understand profit share. Jennifer cannot answer this question.
I was going to say, I'll answer it.
Nope. Somebody answer this question that's not Jennifer. Kareem.
It's money you make without having to do anything.
Say again.
It's money you make without having to do anything.
I like that.
Okay.
Kinda.
Because you did do something. What did you do?
More passive.
Did you affect somebody's life?
Very correct.
That's what I talk about when I do recruiting appointments, when I talk about profit share. I look at them in the eye and say, how many people do you know keep their job? Everybody cracks up laughing and says, tons. I said, great. So whose life can you change today?
Another big difference is available to everyone, regardless of your tenure at KW. From day one, you
Awesome.
can have
What else? Okay, go.
It's a retirement plan.
Yes.
It is truly a retirement plan for agents, and especially for people who aren't really good savers to start with. It's a great way to retire.
Yes. Yes. You get to change somebody's life, yes. You get to change somebody's life. In return, they change your life. So I hope this room is packed because I have been in this class before when Jennifer has taught it, and it's amazing. It's amazing. So, okay, I will stop gushing over that one. Saturday, dual career group coaching with Vic. Monday, agents and growth mastermind. Tuesday, due diligence class. It's a PC coaching open to all with Melanie Selko and Brian Clark, and going through due diligence from the respect of the vendors. Okay? All right. Alrighty, and if you have not signed up and you're thinking, maybe it's time to start hiring people for my team, Career Visioning is here. June is actually 10th, 11th, and 12th. They had a date change. So it's Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, the second week of June. And Tony Brody is the instructor. Several of us are going to be there. I think Adia is going to be there. I think Cheryl and Doug are going to be there. So if you're looking to grow your team, that's the way to do it. Sign up for that.
Dory, is that on the second day? Is that only a half day? Just want to make sure. Is that a full day?
They changed that.
They changed it.
It's going to be 9 to 5, and then 9 to 5, and then the third day.
Half day.
The first class is a day and a half, and then the second class is a day and a half.
Right. So Career Visioning Monday and Tuesday, 30, 60, 90 Wednesday.
Right. So
that's the leverage series.
The 12th, it'll end at 12:30.
13.
No.
They change it. And we'll send out the new link with the new dates this afternoon.
Okay.
If you want to sign up, so we'll have the new dates on there.
And then Doreen, for
Yes.
those who can't take it,
It's in Nashville.
no, there's July, also like 11, like 10, 11, 12 or something like that, and in Nashville, also.
Right.
And Nashville is super fun.
Yeah.
All the I personalities in them.
Yes. There you go. Alrighty, reminding you our summer meeting schedule. Take a picture, put it on your calendar. We are here June 5th and 19th, July 10th and July 24th, and August 7th and August 21st. Okay, so that's your summertime team meeting schedule. Good? Everybody take pictures? Okay. Alrighty, come on down. If I asked you to be on the panel, we're going to continue our conversation about iBuyer. Woo! Oh, Cynthia, sit under your picture. That's so much fun. Okay. Do that. Awesome. Okay. Alrighty, so last week we had a guest speaker talk about the iBuyer situation from the aspect that he worked for an iBuyer company. And I thought it'd be really important to bring in some agents, and I'm sure there are plenty of you in the room that can also contribute to this conversation that have worked or have knowledge. So we're gonna go down the line and just say and find out what kind of experience they had with the iBuyer and kind of flush this out a little bit more. So Cynthia, go.
So, about my experience?
Yes.
So, and last week actually, I closed on Charlie, but Knock purchased a listing of mine. And honestly, as much as I wish I could say it was terrible and everyone suffered, it was really smooth and we had no issues at all, and they made due diligence super simple, and actually it was quite lovely.
Okay, so tell me, what was the purchase price of the house?
It was $515.
$515.
Yeah.
What was the situation?
Yeah, tell us the situation.
So, I mean, it was just a traditional listing, young couple moving to North Carolina. They had a pool. I mean, we were only on the market a few days.
Where was the property?
Smyrna Mableton.
So Knock came to you to buy it, or they filled out the form and said, please come buy my house?
They did not, no. Knock was representing a buyer that had not sold their home yet. So it was one of the ones where Knock was moving them out of their home. Their buyer actually rents the house from them. Knock buys the house. Their client rents the house from them until their home sells, at which point they're able to buy the home from Knock.
The distinction last week was Knock is really more of an intermediary financing than it truly is an iBuyer, because they're just providing a bridge so that you don't have to sell your house first to buy your next home. They're saying, go ahead and buy your next home with us. So they got paid a commission. That's their business model. They got paid the commission to buy their next home. No contingencies whatsoever. And then they just purchase and hold that current home until those people move on, and then they sell it.
They really don't purchase it, do they?
Well, they do.
They do. They buy her purchase, yeah.
But it's a bridge.
Knock was the cash buyer.
Exactly. Y'all can do
So
as a
Knock
bridge.
didn't buy their house, correct?
No.
And Knock will list their house to sale. So Knock came up to her listing. The buyer came up to the listing and says, we like this house. So Knock said, okay. They bought the house cash money. And then basically what happens is they list the house of that buyer. They list their house for sale. And they're renting this house to that buyer, that future buyer.
So you don't know what the flip side of their transaction looked like?
I don't know what the numbers are. I do think, Joe had more insight, and Knock is interesting. I wasn't nervous about any of this until about 2 weeks ago when Knock did start showing up on all my listings, but we have a client who we are representing in a purchase of a new home, and had hoped, obviously, to list their home, and she is going with Knock because they are going to do all the repairs for her. They're not gonna, I mean, she does have to pay, so this is tricky. They implied that they were just giving her $10,000 towards repairs. Obviously, she has to pay for it, but not until closing. So
you don't get to sell her a new house either?
No, we are under contract on a new house with her.
So Knock's not making their money on the other end of that one.
That was very interesting to me too, because I thought originally they were just buying her house outright, but they are just listing it as if just like we would, only with the benefit of.
So she qualifies for both houses at this point then.
So this is also something that Compass is doing. I don't know if you've seen that advertisement, but they're basically advertising that the benefit of listing your house with us is we'll finance your repairs, and they're doing that at no interest. It's like a concierge service. Like, we'll take care of light repairs and this and that, and you pay us back at closing.
Yeah.
So that's the service that they're offering. So that's out there now.
Well, we can do that too.
Yeah. And I'm pretty sure that's what Karen Keller's setting up.
I'm hoping so. Yeah. And honestly, it's not a bad thing. It is actually great for the sellers. I mean, they need to do the work, most people
But they're
can't
paying
afford
for it
to.
though. I mean, they're paying
Well,
for
that's the
it.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, when it all shakes out, it's costing them more money.
Well, the reality
Right.
is this is every business that we're in really breaks down to one word: value. So if you are providing value, people will pay for what they value. That is it. That is capitalism. That's the consumer-driven market. If they value it, they'll pay for it. And for some people, it makes sense. You know, I was just in a scenario where I represented the buyer buying a place, but they decided to sell to an iBuyer, you know, versus listing it because they wanted to just be, they wanted to be able to pick exactly whatever it was they wanted and then go under contract and know that they didn't have anything to worry about.
And to your point, she brought up a minute ago parenthetically, that's nothing that we couldn't also do using bridge financing with our clients. And what I mean by that, be proactive before,
Learn about it.
and if she's known, and now we know going forward, have that conversation with your clients so that you don't lose the sale on the other side, that there are if you own your home and you have equity in your home, you have at least 80% equity or 20% equity in your home, right?
10, I think.
No, you have to have 20 to do bridge, but you got 20% equity in your home and you want to go buy another home, there are lenders, including Supreme here in our office, that will do, based on credit and equity in that home, go ahead and let them close on the next home.
Right.
And wouldn't that be wonderful? Go ahead and move their butts out of there, then you have a vacant stage listing to sell, right? And you don't lose it to a knot because you've already prepared them. Hey, before we list your home, we're going to go ahead and get you qualified to find your next home. So you're really pregnant with them now, right? With finding their next home, it's called a bridge loan. It allows them to close on their purchase using the equity in their current home as pledged collateral. So then you get them moved out into that house, and then you list the house and knock us out of the equation.
Right.
And Supreme
And Supreme
Supreme will do
has
it.
talked about that before.
Center State will do it. Right, Synovus will do it. Right down the list. They have to. The stipulation is they have to have at least 20% equity in their home, and they have to have a good credit score, like 750.
They have to
qualify for the
Well, you also have to sell their house within a year for them to obtain that bridge. So it's got to be a 12-month turnaround, and it's usually like a 1.99% interest. I mean, it's.
I've done it successfully with several clients, though.
Which is probably a lot cheaper than going through the.
Probably.
And you control the whole process.
On all sides,
I
right?
don't know, I'm just assuming there's so many touch points there that
I think you're right. I mean, I'm not sure either.
I'm not sure.
The other,
go ahead.
the only other thing I was gonna say is like with knock, if that's your competition, we do have the bridge loan, which is basically the same thing that they would get with knock, and we have companies like Curbio and Punch List.
Right.
That will also do the repairs ahead of time, and you don't have to pay for them until closing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing,
And
but you can offer the same
Right, and
thing.
we're looking to bring Curbio in to tell us a little bit more about that.
What they do.
Yes.
What
The
they do.
repairs that they're
Couple
giving
vendors.
money for, is it like repairs before they even list the house to get it list ready, or is it
Yes.
repairs that the buyer's asking for? Or both?
No, it's before, it's getting it ready to list. I mean,
Okay.
with this particular client, they replaced her deck, built a whole new deck, they painted inside and out.
And it's just added on to how much they
Knock-
pay when they
Does
do
Knock have
officially buy the new
their
house.
team?
So
Or
my
does it
situation, oh, I'm sorry, what did you say?
They did. So Knock are y'all's clients reaching out to Knock first, or do they?
My scenario is I had a listing in Berkeley Lake. Couple came in at the open house. Sweet, great, wonderful couple. I could have listed their home for them. They fell in love with the house, but they're like, we have 5 rescue dogs that are elderly. We houses, blah, 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 blah. We have to sell. I mean, we have to move out before we can sell our house. We're thinking about calling Knox. So then I got on, I didn't know Supreme at that time, but I got on the phone and called a couple lenders, about bridges and things like that. This couple just wanted an easy button. They did. They just wanted an easy button, and that's what Knock is selling.
That's great.
So it's frustrating. I mean, granted, that guy ended up selling the house, and it did work very well. They were really easy to work with. Knock went in, so Knock bought my listing. They
put a fence around the house for these people.
Did they really buy it? Did they give
Not
them
paid for it, not paid cash for it
Okay.
at McManamy.
And there's a title owner there for a little while.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they buy the property, it's in their name.
And then there's a rental agreement, there's a rental agreement, I didn't have anything to do with it, with this other couple.
They bought the new house or they bought the old house?
They bought my listing. This
Not
bought
okay,
my
that makes
listing.
sense. The old
Not-
house is still in limbo.
It's still there, it's still the buyers for my listing still own that house. And so Knock is now has some sort of contract. I have not, I'm friends with these, I'm acquaintances, I guess, with the new buyers. They live close to me. I think they'll give me everything that we need to know. I'll be able to get that from them to find out.
Spy.
Yeah, but Knock did whatever updates they wanted to do on this new house that Knock officially owns, which was my listing. And now Knock also is doing updates on the house that they're selling, which is still their house.
Right.
And then all of that money, they will end up paying that plus probably more.
Yeah.
A premium at the end.
So the piece is you're gonna go, why in the world would they do that and not do the bridge loan? Particularly in situations where a person's got repairs and things that they need to do. You know how it is when you go in and you manage a sale for a seller and they're trying to pull together the kids and a million other things. These people had 5 dogs. I am sure that house smelled like dogs, right? So somebody had to go in there and take care of that and deal with it. So for them, it was an easy option.
Convenient, right?
That is what we're up against. We're up against. That's the word that all of us need to be looking at: value and convenience.
And instant gratification. We're in an instant gratification society now.
Right.
I'm going to give you extra I'm going to lose $30,000 on my home because I don't want to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a change in
How many of you have buyers that don't want to do work on a house and you walk into the house and it's just painting carpet that would cost them $5,000?
And they don't
right? That's $5,000 of painting carpet. 2 contractors, 1 maybe. You can pull it off. So imagine a seller who's got 50 things to do to a property, right? And that's not, and I say that in that way and with that veracity, not to scare you, but it's to say that we could also offer those kinds of value.
Yes.
That kind of
And I
value.
think that would be the challenge.
It's not limited. It's not limited to them. We've got options. We've got opportunities. We just got to be aware of it like we are today, and then go out and present it very quickly and right up front.
Yeah, I think you look at yourself like a little boutique company and provide those services. Why not?
Is Home Partners of America?
Say it again.
Home Partners of America. Is that a
Yeah, they're down in that lower tier. What I've done for you guys over there,
I've actually
so we're
done one.
leading iBuyers right now, and an iBuyer just means an investment buyer or institutional buyer that has a fund to use, and they're using that fund more often than not. It's venture capital. OfferPad has something like 700 million. I'm sorry, 1.2 billion. Zillow has a market capitalization of 700 million, and 600 of that's earmarked to do this stuff. Open Door, you guys are watching TV, hearing radio, you're going to hear OfferPad, Zillow, Open Door. OfferPad, Zillow, Open Door. They're all fighting for the same market space. And you know what that market space is? They ascribe to have 10% market share. And if you guys go to Chartmasters and stats that we do, how many listings failed last quarter? 45%. Go on and fight for your 10% of that 45%, because as I teach in Ignite and pricing, there are 3 things that sell every home: price, location, and condition. 2 of which you can only affect, right? You can't do anything about the L word, right? So if you've got a great location and your home is in great condition and you're willing to price it to sell, do you need an iBuyer to come in and give you an easy button?
No.
Do you guys see how inconsequential? And I'm not saying it's not going to be a factor going forward. We need to know how to navigate it.
It's the condition.
And it's the condition piece. And as Chris and everybody else said, sometimes that's the easy button. I've got 6 smelly dogs. This house is 1982. I don't want to do a $50,000 facelift of this house. The kitchen is tore up. All of that. That's great. That might be in my script for these people. And I'm sorry, I don't want to dominate because I do want to talk about Zillow. I've had experience with Zillow. But Mr. Buyer, go ahead and just posture and say, you know what, these models, get it out of the way up front. Because these models work really great for people. Sometimes when they're divorcing, they don't want to sign in the yard. or their house is in really bad condition and they don't have the money or the time or the desire to do anything about it. But that's not your situation, is it, Mr. Seller? Are you divorcing right now and you don't want to sign in the ER? Okay. Or is your house in really bad condition and you don't want to? Oh, okay. So you really don't need a really easy out. You really want a market or above market price for your home, is that right? Yeah. Oh, you do? You want a market or above market price? Because the only way these guys can make money is how? They're not doing it out of the kindness of their heart. They're kind of buying your home at a discount, right? And that's the trade-off with the easy button. So if you're not divorcing and don't want a sign in your yard, or your house is not in really bad condition right now, and I'll tell you the L thing, the knock listings that I've seen around town, 8 out of 10 of them have been on a busy double-line street in a bad condition with a cliff of a backyard that nobody wanted to buy.
And a cell tower.
So by all means, instead of us having this inventory build up, and I'll get off this, instead of us having a huge inventory run up, let's have these people go and fight for their 10% and absorb the stuff that nobody else wants to buy. That's the script that I have to sell.
Okay, I'm going to skip for a second. So Courtney, tell us your story, because Courtney and I were talking about
I've got a few. You want the Zillow one.
Tell the Zillow story first.
So right now, you guys probably got an email from me saying, hey, I've got a quiet listing. It's in Dunwoody. The reason why it was quiet is because I was competing with Zillow. And obviously the sellers don't want their advertisement with me to be up on Zillow and all of these third-party websites, because Zillow came in and offered them, honestly, I'm being real, I do think it was a fair market value for their home. The fees were astronomical.
Can you give them the numbers?
Almost 10%.
Give them the numbers.
And what the bottom line is that Zillow will come in and they've really inflated the purchase price for the property. So that they think, the buyers or the sellers are thinking like, wow, I'm getting an above market value for my home. Bottom line is, once you get all the fees, once you get the inspection, we were looking at basically 11.5% of, we had, and it's based on zip code. So their commission was about 8, and then you add,
I think
it was close to 8.5, and y'all might think, oh, Zillow only has a ceiling. This was like a $500,000 property, so that kind of negates that, I guess. But and
it was more than 500.
Yeah, it was. Well, so here's what it is. I would have listed the house at probably 530, and that was me being generous because it was my friend. I really don't think the house was worth 530, but it is what it is. I know. The drunk monkey. Zillow came in and offered them 560.
Well, wait, there's more.
Wait.
The service credit fee, which is basically an 8.2% commission fee, was what they were asking. So that was $45,360 just off the top. Then they come in, they do the inspection. Now, they will do the inspection before they even go under contract with you. They'll send it in.
Not all of them.
That inspection ran, and it's non-negotiable. Sellers can't turn around and, I'm going to do these repairs. Doesn't matter. It's $17,540.
17,000.
Of what they found, it's non-negotiable.
So do they know what they found, and is that a legitimate?
I've got the inspection. I brought, for y'all to look, if you guys want, I brought the inspection report. I brought the Zillow, the contracts and everything. Y'all are welcome to pan through them. But what I found was the inspection was like such a joke. They're asking for concessions off of food being stuck on the kitchen counters. And very cosmetic things, every now and then you see a little scratch on the wall. They're deducting for every single thing. And in my case, my lady had 4 kids. She didn't want to deal with showings. She didn't want to deal with, she wanted the contingency magically gone. She just wanted to go ahead and move on to the next house. But the bottom line is their end number was $497,100, which, if I was being very real, Robin Blast had the property next door to my house. They're under contract at $515. It's the same house. Literally, it's the exact same. So if you turn around and you deducted whatever your commission is, the 6%, 5.5% if you're doing the double side, whatever. I mean, my bottom number was probably right around where Zillow came in at, unfortunately.
And did it work? Are they with Zillow?
They gave me the opportunity to quietly list it for 2 weeks, and they said, we want you to take it. Like, we want to, but we really don't want to deal with showings. If you can stack the showings, knock it out on a silent listing, advertise on the Rawls group, do what you got to do, but if not, then we're going to take that. And they did.
And they took that.
Mm-hmm.
And have they already paid on that?
No, not yet.
Well, so here's the
Is
next.
there another round of
Yep, that's the story.
Yep.
Zillow due diligence days is 15 days. They do not count weekends.
Or holidays.
So
they can back out.
So they automatically get the next
What are they
business
doing if
day.
they already
After
did
they've
the
done their inspection.
So the inspection's done on the front end. Once the basically they send them the contract. And they say, okay, this is your bottom line, sign. They sign, they have a 15-day due diligence to come back and do additional inspections. So this number is, it's subject to change. So there's a possibility. And they're only putting down $1,000 earnest money on a $28,000 house.
So are they in their 15 days due diligence right now?
That's their 2 week quiet list.
Has they sent other people out to look at the house, or?
Yeah. I mean, they'll send people out. And they've done I think 2 rounds of inspections. Yeah.
And so the 15th day they're going to come back and say, I want another $30,000 off?
They could.
Okay.
And if they do, are
so
they
what's
stuck
happening here? What's happening here is the additional people come out are the actual real contractor types. That's like the GC coming out. So the first person to quote unquote do the inspection is like a person who's just kind of sidelining everything, and they're just going through and writing everything they see and everything that comes up. But then the next person who goes out during due diligence is kind of verifying, and then they're also coming up with if there's anything that was missed, and then a contractor is going out and essentially coming up with real harder line numbers for what needs to be done.
So the story's not over yet.
No.
No, I think it's really to be continued. I think that
is someone going to pay in the court records? Will it say that they paid $560 for the house?
Yes.
Okay, so then
That's
they'll turn
what's
around
screwed
and
up
sell
about
it for $560. Well, it looks like
And it'll
they
sit on the market. Exactly.
Will it appraise for
I never have to appraise for 5.
But it's cash, so we don't care.
So the next person coming in is going to get more.
Right.
And if Zillow does buy it, they're selling it as is with no disclosures and no warrant, nothing.
Yes.
They don't have to disclose that they did any repair. So they could do all that deduction and never do all those repairs.
Which they're not
See where
going to do all the repairs.
No.
That's where
Nor
they
is
make their money.
OfferPad. We have experience with OfferPad, offers, all of them are the same model. And you guys have to understand, these companies have market capitalization. All they're trying to do right now is get a few suckers in Atlanta to buy off on this, so that they can go on the radio and say, we sold our house to Zillow. And blah, blah, blah. So they're called the loss leaders. They're looking for some early adopter loss leaders. They don't care if they make money on the house. They just want enough to provide that big easy button. But break it back down. You know, if your home is in top condition and you're in a great location and you're willing to price it at market, would you take anything less? Would you not offer it to the general market? Because how do you know, Mr. Seller, if every realtor in Atlanta doesn't bring their buyers and look at it, how do you know that you're getting the best deal? Create that doubt. Create the doubt.
JD, why isn't Mark Spain on the board?
Mark Spain is on the board. What Mark Spain does with his guaranteed sale is he's the number one reseller, if you would, with OfferPad. So he immediately goes in with an OfferPad offer. Open door. He goes immediately in with an open door offer and says, you know, we can do this one of two ways. Here's your easy button, or I can put it on the market and try to see what the general market will bring you. So he's proactively blocking that for Zillow. If anybody else calls on him, oh, well, we've already seen an iBuyer offer through Mark Spain, and he's getting paid on it, by the way.
All right, can we go back to Courtney's? So when your lady moves, is OfferPad buying her next house and she's renting it from them, or are they giving her cash?
Zillow.
Zillow, I'm sorry.
Zillow, and Zillow is different than that.
Okay.
It's a complete, Zillow is just outright buying that thing.
Okay.
They're gonna go in and they're gonna do the cosmetic repairs, and then they're gonna list it with their company that has the contract, which is Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty.
Yeah.
That's who's gonna sell
It's
it.
gonna offer you $1 commission. Have you seen that? Your Home Sold Guarantee.
I thought they were with one realty, because Realty One or something.
Realty
Is
One.
with
I'm sorry.
Zillow.
There's some out there, OfferPad.
Because I've showed a couple of those, and they're at 3%.
So in the Zillow reseller, from what we were told, which I didn't know from the guy who was here, is going to be losing that contract soon. From what it sounded like, somewhere in 6. So they're probably going to rebid and find another person. But what I've seen with them is they're starting to discount the buy side commission.
Yeah.
That company is starting to discount. I just started seeing them do that literally within the last 2 weeks in the newer listings that they put on the market. Because I've gotten calls from my buyers who've seen it on Zillow, because they'll put it up as a coming soon. And so the buyer's like, hey, I seen this coming soon listing, and they will not sell it before it hits the market. They just want it out there as a coming soon, and then when it hits the market. So what I've seen in the last couple of weeks is they're putting them on the market at 2.75.
That's because their days on market, if you guys were here last week, the iBuyer's days on market is like 90 to 135 days. Why? We're back to, if it were in top condition or in a great location, they would have sold it in 7 days with a real agent, right? So those companies, they have a buy and hold strategy. Buy and hold to try to build up enough listing inventory to look like, hey, we're out here. So, just know that when you're dealing with them, and I have a Zillow under contract with a buyer right now, the biggest issue with that is if it's in a homeowners association, whether it's a single family, a townhome, or a condominium, you guys know what happened with the HOA stuff last year, where they got their legs cut off, and they can't charge more than so much, and so they said, fine, then we're not giving information. We don't have to give information to anybody but the homeowner. And when Zillow owns it, who's the homeowner? Try to get Zillow when the underwriter on the loan comes back and says, we need clarification on this reserve item in the finances and blah, 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 blah. Trying to get any information from a buyer side. If an iBuyer holds the property, you better put it in your offer up front for Realty One, whoever it is, a listing agent, before you're considered binding. The way I would state it is, before agreement is considered binding, listing agent to provide financials, budget, condo docs, every bit of it, because they're going to take 3 to 4 to 5 days to get that stuff back to you at a minimum, because now they got to go to Zillow, and Zillow's got to go to the homeowner. There's like 2 people in all of the Southeast region operating about 150 listings for Zillow to go and request from the various homeowners. And the homeowner associations aren't just sitting there going, yeah, how can I help you today?
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to email you that right now. So put it in your offer that the agreement is not considered binding, not within so many hours after binding.
Well, the other thing that you can do as opposed to that is just automatically extend the due diligence and the closing fee. So if you want, because some of those homes are in hot neighborhoods, hot areas, you've got buyers under 250, and they really want that
all
thing.
those companies are closed on the weekend.
You can just write in.
They're not smart enough.
You're writing in.
They're not smart
due
enough.
diligence extends by X number of days until we get.
Just say it's not binding till you get it, because they're not smart enough. They don't even catch that. They don't. They don't catch it. Just buy yourself a little bit of extra time, and then the ball's in your buyer court. But that's the biggest issue when you're buying from an iBuyer. They're looking for some loss leaders. They're not responsive. The knock thing is a hybrid. The reason I put it on there is because they're more of a financing vehicle. They don't want inventory. They're not going outside unseen buying people's property the way OfferPad and Open Door and Zillow are.
Chris, what's your experience directly?
So while I've got experience, I've been in discussion with several of them, and definitely, and then I've also we did one with OfferPad, but I've got experience because I've talked to the heads in Arizona for Open Door, and I've talked to the local rep who recruits agents in this area, and they don't recruit agents to come work for them. They're recruiting partners right because Zillow came out and says, okay, well, Zillow is really, they don't really care about the Windsor office. They actually care about taking those listings and then getting like a referral fee from their premium agents who are already subscribing. So that's their model. Because before, OfferPad and Open Door, which are the other two large ones, weren't doing anything with leads. It was like either we're going to buy it or we're not going to buy it, and that's what they talked about. That's what, I can't remember the gentleman's name. Doug. That's what Doug talked about last week. It was either, hey, we're going to buy it or we're not. And they were only buying, I had them tell me that they were buying something like 2 out of 7 or 2 out of 8 of the properties that were coming through. And then they were also getting a lot of buyer interest from buyers contacting them directly because they're advertising. So people are just seeing it and they're calling and they're having that advertisement come through. But they have an agent partnership program before what they're starting to do. So before what they were doing is what Mark Spain is doing. So I was at a mastermind probably about 2 months ago, sponsored by a partner that I work with, and they had a top person come in who's in Arizona. He's in the thick of all of it, and he owns his own brokerage. And he says, well, one of the things that I thought about is why not just call them up right away and find out what they got going on. So he called them up. He went down their buy list, their whole, this is what they're looking for, and says, hey, well, if I got a listing that, or I'm coming up on a listing, will you take it? Can we do a referral exchange? And so that's kind of how that was born. It was actually born right there in Arizona. And so I'm sure that Mark Spain was somewhere in the mastermind, similar agent, heard the same thing, and that's what they're doing. But their whole thing is just volume. That was their original approach, volume. But then they saw what Zillow's doing, and now they're trying to go back and contact the agents that they've talked to before and say, hey, well, how would you like some referrals? And we'll charge you 33% for the referrals. So that's what they're doing behind the scenes. But what I can tell you of them and what I know is Zillow is the most likely to overpay. OfferPad, because their end game is we just want the referrals. They're the most likely to overpay. OfferPad doesn't really know what the hell they have until they actually have it. So what he said was true. What he said was 100% true. They do not. OfferPad has the least amount of staff, available to do what they're actually trying to do. And then Open Door is just larger. So they're more vetted out. They've got way more houses and they've got way more money than OfferPad does. So they're further along. Their backers, their venture capitalists got deeper pockets. So that's what you have going on behind the scenes. And I don't know the other two, but the top 3, I've talked to them all. And then Knock actually tried to recruit me when they first came to town, so I got their whole spiel.
Yeah.
Which one of these companies are public?
Zillow.
Zillow is the only company.
The only one?
And Redfin is getting into it now in the public.
Yeah.
But Redfin they're focusing on the West Coast, which is the market that they're most comfortable with before they roll out anywhere else.
By the way,
Passing a lot today in Georgia, Redfin.
Does anybody notice that like Zillow and Redfin that your open houses aren't published anymore? Has anybody noticed that?
We've had a problem with that. And the way to get around that, if you're going to put an open house in, don't just do it in Matrix. You got to go into KWLS and put it open because KWLS actually feeds to List Hub. So when you try to manually do something in Zillow and it says, oh, it's going to be overwritten by the feed. Well, the feed doesn't come from Matrix. It comes from KWLS, which goes to List Hub, which goes out. And so when we've had that before, where I woke up on a oh crap Sunday morning and it's not there, and the seller calls and says, our open house isn't on Zillow. And we put it in like Tuesday, and it was there Wednesday when we checked it.
Same, yes. Make sure you're checking when you're doing open houses. Redfin almost never gets your open house out, by the way. Zillow.
It's what Redfin is. It's got to be in early. That's the thing with them. It's got to be in super early. Yeah, it's got to be in. It's got to be in before
Thursday.
Zillow will put it up, and then it sometimes disappears.
But if you go into KWLS, and if you don't know where that is, I'll meet with you after. But it's in our control panel. KWLS is our little listing system that propagates to List Hub. And so when we're using Swift or you're putting it dual entry into FMLS or Georgia MLS, it actually does go to KWLS, but for some reason it doesn't stick unless you put it in there also.
So the deal with Zillow is because we have Georgia MLS and FMLS, that screws with their system. So So they've got what's called a listing overlay, and the listing overlay may or may not pick up the FMLS or the Georgia MLS, or it may not pair the listing together like, oh, that's the same listing, because it's getting it from the two systems, and so therefore it may not display it, and that's the biggest problem with and when you go into KWLS, you're actually putting it on what's most often the Georgia MLS listing. That is the listing that most often shows on the national website at the top of the list.
So you're saying we put it in both? We put it in Swift, also just take extra step and put it in
Matrix, the open house.
Yeah. So when you do an open house, you go into Matrix directly and put it in Matrix. But that is showing on the FMLS listing. It requires the national website to pair it to know that those two are the same listings, which it does not always get right, which will drive you crazy. And so when it doesn't know that it's paired, it's on one listing but not on the other. And depending on how you search the address, if you leave off Southeast or if you leave off whatever Drive or Ave, it may or may not pull up that listing that you're looking for. And it's on the Georgia MLS listing. I mean, it's on the FMLS listing, but not on the Georgia MLS.
Is there a way
when
to
you go to
add an
KWLS, which is Keller Williams Listing Service, and you put it in, it's putting it on the Georgia MLS listing. So that's also feeding to ListHub, and that's why you're seeing it versus not seeing it.
I got one thing I'll just add. I'm a newbie, but a little bit of experience in the market. I ran up against Open Door. Went out on a referral for a listing, and they had told me, yeah, they had a bad experience. I'm like, oh, let's pump this and find out what happened. It's a 9% fee they're charging, and all the repairs. So similar story on all of that. But the main thing that freaked them out is in the first week and a half of them talking, they did not sign, but just getting the offer and having it. They were talking to 7 people, 7 emails, people in the house for the inspection, and they went, wow. You know, and then the number, they're smart people, started figuring out the number and went, wait, we're coming way down, 9% plus inspection, plus fee, plus, and then they kept waiting for what else is going to happen. And I said, well, and I just said real simply, what are the concerns? What do you want? What do you want? And we went through a couple of things, and their main thing they wanted was no lockbox. They don't want people in their house. They wanted showings done. And I said, well, how about we do this? And we went through pricing, and I'll come back to that in a minute. But we went through and set it up so that no lockbox. They're fine with that. I said, you don't want to sign? Sign. Yes. And I know that goes against the grain, but I said, what do you want? What do you want? And sign. She finally went, that's not too bad of an idea. I said, well, it helps us. Just. And can we do an open house? Yeah, we can do an open house. Sure. And I told them, in addition to the open house, no agent will come in there without me. I'll meet them, or I get my daughter on my team. I said, nobody will come to your house but us. And they went, okay. And then we started talking about price. The price they had in their mind was about $3,000 difference of what I wanted to list it for. And I said, hey, how about we do it this way? And they were like, great. Where do we go? It was very simple, because all I did was they were very concerned about kind of people coming in their house. And so we walked through the normal process. Well, if we do sell it, there'll be one inspection, one appraisal. That's it. Simple. We'll do an open house. And they were like, fine. Where do we sign?
So just to go back, why are people doing this, right? Number one is, most often, is they've got repairs or they've got some situation in the house that they feel like, this isn't going to show well. This isn't going to do well. The next reason is you've got those people who are super private and do not want people walking through their house. The third thing is people want to know where they're going before they sell their house. I've got a set of people where I'm working with right now that are just like that. Those are the top 3 reasons why people are electing to call these companies. And then the fourth reason is just simply, they're just curious. And so they get wrapped up in being curious and saying, hey, I wonder what my house would sell for, what they pay for my house, and they start in the process. And then somewhere in that process, they're like, whoa. It's the same reason that they go to our valuation sites, if you're running valuation sites. And they're like, hey, what's that for? And then they're getting a call from you. Same thing. Same thing. But the top 3 reasons all have to do with convenience. It really does. And so you just got to be prepared with scripts and also options. And so I'm sure, that's why Keller Williams is coming up with this, because there is a value in it. There is a value to the person who doesn't want to go through showings, or they don't have the money to do a bridge loan. There are some people who can't do the bridge loan, right? And then there are some people who don't want to do the repairs, or don't have the money to do the repairs, all that's there. All you gotta do is sit down, come up with your options, and then go out and tell them what the options are.
So KW has rolled out an iBuyer program
Certain markets.
in Dallas, and
Just Texas.
I think just in Dallas for right now, and hoping to expand it to 6 or 8 cities. We have not heard anything about it yet. It's very under the radar. We are waiting for information. We're asking for information. As soon as we find out more information, we will get it to you guys. Yeah.
Okay, is anybody else worried about your little people over here who are renting a house and haven't sold their house yet? And at the end of the day, if they're gonna come up and offer them, after they've knocked it down, they're gonna end up $50,000, $100,000 less than what they thought they were gonna do? I'm worried about people.
They probably, I don't know, that's an interesting question. I wonder if they don't promise some threshold, you know.
They've already got them moved out. I mean, it just
I don't
feels
know.
like they have lost all leverage.
Well, and that's a great conversation to have on the front end. It's kind of like what Peter said, the gentleman was waiting for the other shoe to drop. Like Courtney's people, the inspectors come back in, hey, we need another $15,000 off this.
But at least
And
her people
now-
aren't renting from them, you know?
No, they're not, they're
Well,
not,
what we need to do
however.
is we need for Jill to go and show us those documents.
Yeah.
Oh, I will, I'll get them from
We
you,
need
you
to
know.
see what that lease says, like if they're leasing, is there an out lease, if it doesn't work out, what happens? Is there a
Yeah, we need to hear the
penalty?
end game
I mean, that would
from
be
both,
great.
both
Yeah.
to hear, you know,
Yeah.
how.
And I'll also contracts, if y'all wanna look through their report and contracts, they're all up here, so.
Does anybody know how Compass,
Pardon?
does anybody know how Compass structures their repairs? So if they're saying they'll pay for the repairs up front and the house sits and sits and sits, does anybody know how that contract works?
You know, no. All I know is that's what they're offering and that's what they're marketing. They are saying that essentially, hey, we'll come in. This is one of the value adds for us. We'll come in. We'll do our listing appointment. We see things that need to be done. You don't have the ability to take care of them. We'll take care of them.
Yeah.
I'm just
And then
curious if
you'll
it doesn't
just pay
sell,
us
like
back.
what-
Well, it's
Honestly,
that's kind of like Curbio, because you can hire Curbio to come in and do the renovation.
I'm in
and
knee
if it
deep in
doesn't-
Curbio right now with 2 homes.
Yeah.
You what?
Yeah.
I'm knee deep in Curbio with 2 homes.
How, is that going
It's
well?
going fine?
Yeah.
So
I think,
if it doesn't
Cheryl,
sell, there's a
your
lien that goes against the
Yeah,
house because they did it.
It's
They
like-
did it without being paid. They're banking on getting paid at closing.
Right.
Regardless of whether it's.
I mean, how many of you have fronted money before for some sort of landscaping or painting or something for your
Right,
seller,
right.
and they were flying without a net, because we're just expecting on a gentleman's ladies agreement that we're gonna be paid at closing, right?
Yeah.
There used to be something to shore that up, but that's what Compass, Anna spent some time with them. They finally called her, and she spent, I think she said 4 hours with them. And they have something on the back end that just shores up that if you fire us from the listing, that this obligation survives that. So it would basically, as Charlie said, it would
It's a
become
vendor's lien
a mechanic's lien or.
at the
yeah,
end.
yeah.
And I
So
can
it's a
tell
lien,
you,
they don't have to come to the table with the.
They're gonna get paid.
They're
one way or
They're
the
gonna
other.
get paid closing.
Yeah, eventually they're gonna get paid. And I'm sure if you were firing me and I put forward the money and they're doing it with no interest, I'm sure there's some kind of fee
That's my
that
question.
then gets added on if they get fired from the list.
I can tell you really quick though, just FYI, nutshell on Curbio, $15,000 minimum. If $15,000 minimum, there is no timeline on if you cannot sell within a certain amount of time. There's not an addition. There's no more interest, but they do stipulate in the contract that they put you as the middleman, so that you're facilitating, and that every month it doesn't sell, you're reducing the list price by 2%.
How can they enforce that?
On their contracts. And they want you to stay as the listing agent too. So it's kind of cool because you're kind of locked in.
But your seller's the one signing the contract.
Yeah. Yes.
You're in the middle.
And they want to make sure from you that they're not over improving the house. That's a big thing for them. They don't want to over improve and sell on the market.
What's the interest rate? On $15,000, how much does it cost in addition to the 15?
I have to look. I'll have to look. I'll find out today actually. So, and then you have online conference calls with your clients in Curbio, and they give you like a now and then like a before and after of what it's going to look like, what the kitchen is projected to look like.
But you're doing like legit big stuff.
Yeah, I'm
Yes,
doing
even
2 full kitchen remodels
Oh, wow.
right now. One is 22,000, and then the other, I'm getting the numbers today.
Ooh, oh, cool.
Oh, and Dawn Bars. Do y'all know Dawn Bars? She's in the Rawls group. She's like in one of our sister offices. She works for Curbio. She's a really good resource to come to. She comes on the initial, here's how it goes. The initial meeting, they come into the house. Dawn will actually be there with the camera. They do like a full panoramic of every room, every floor. And then you have an online meeting with your clients. You get an estimate of everything that you want done. And then they come back, they give you before and after shots of what it's supposed to look like. Client signs the contract. Once the contract is signed, they come out. Vendors it's really one in-house vendor. And I mean, it's kind of run of the mill. The appliances are all the same. They're all stainless steel. They're all the same brand in a warehouse. Vanities are all still the same granite slabs. Sellers get to pick between 4 different options of granite. I mean, it's like.
Can you use that as a marketing tool and not actually do the work? You've got a listing that's kind of a dog, and they come in and, you know, I mean, but the seller would do it for the people if they wanted it done.
Yeah.
I'm just
kind of thought about that too.
How close are their prices, Curbio's, as far as just hiring your own contractor? Any idea?
They're pretty close.
Are they not?
Yeah, they really are.
It's the easy button.
It is.
Yeah.
How do you spell Curbio?
C-U-R-B-I-O.
And you're bringing them there, Curbio?
I have a call into Dawn to see if she'll come and chat with us.
Yeah, email
You better bring them.
So she's doing
Yes.
It's a great service.
Yeah,
That's a good market.
Andy Crow actually has another one. Andy Crow has one that he's been talking about for about a year and a half. I'll get the name from him. Another company like that.
Who came to speak with us?
Punch List.
Yes. Punch List.
I've heard that it was it a home warranty company or inspection company?
It's National Property Inspection.
Okay.
Yes.
I heard, I don't know if this is true, so I don't know. I heard they kind of parted ways. So I have to just find out. I'll call them. Any other questions for the panel? Thank you so much.
That was awesome.
Yes. Appreciate you all. Remember, our last team meeting for May is next week. Hopefully we can bring Curbio in. I'm not sure. I haven't gotten a confirmation. It's just a great discussion, and as soon as we have more information from KW IBuyer, we'll let you know. Thank you all.
Mr. Barnes, Angel. Hey, baby. Hey, I got updates for you. Are they done?
Oh.
Stand by that desk. Oh, hey, how are you? Thank you very much. Thank you for all the accolades. It's like I always and they like we love games. Well, I love my windows.
Yes.